Okay, so make sure you are at this level. Always high enough. And make sure you have saved because, by the way, you missed a video of me. Even though it was originally supposed to be Breath of Fire, but... that failed miserably because somehow or another this game rebooted and I was like, what am I playing? I thought because when it brought it back up, I thought I was doing Final Fantasy IV. God, it's so confusing. So you know what I had to do? I had to scrap the entire video. I cannot go back and redo it because it doesn't really matter. But make sure you have taken the time to level grind. And I'm sorry I couldn't. There's no saving it. None. It really doesn't matter anyway. It's just me grinding, trying to get Edward prepared for what's coming up. Because, man, you need to be prepared. I cannot stress that enough. And by the way, for now, we are done with Final Fantasy V. I've been kind of doing this out of order, but it really doesn't matter. Hell, Chrono Trigger is not full on 20 videos, but it may be at some point. Right now, what's going to replace it will be something that will have 20 videos. Anyway, that'll be Breath of Fire. So anyway. So, Kaipo, Oasis of Desert. So I think we should go in here. Yeah, make sure you've gone off and, just gotten up to a certain point. I mean, until you're ready. There's actually supposed to be someone out here that tells you about something. And, for some reason or another. But, it just doesn't happen that way. Blah, blah, blah. So, what we got to do here... Rosa. So, I guess if things are... I remember in the old version you could actually do this, but it wouldn't make a difference. I've never really done it until afterwards. Let me rephrase that. I hadn't done it the many times I had played through until I finally found that you could do this, but I don't guess you just can't do it on advanced. Oh well, it doesn't really matter anyway. It would have been optional because you could have come up here and been like, oh, hey, Rosa, and you don't have the right item. And you could just, try to give her something, but it won't let you because it just wouldn't. But what you want to do is you want to give her the sand ruby. But first, let's go check out the sand ruby before we do that. This is the only time you can do it. Make sure you sort your items. Okay, so. Sand ruby. Medicine effective against high fevers. So, yeah. It's optional. You don't have to do it, but it would mean the world. Just to get it over with. Rosa is exposed to the sunlight. Rosa is exposed to the light of the sand ruby. And it blinks and then... I don't know. Cecile, you're alive. Thank goodness. How do you feel? I'm fine. But I thought I'd lost you. They told me you passed away. Died and missed when the earthquake hit. Oh, I'm sorry to have put you through that. Rosa, who is Gobaz? He's the new captain of the Red Wings, appointed by the king himself. Yet another clue for you later. It's actually useless at this point, but it's also helpful at the same time. Sometimes hints are like that, but, anyway. But the king has been acting strangely. I believe Gobaz is manipulating him to collect the... Okay, yet another clue for something way later, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Crystals for himself. With Mesidia's water crystal in hand, will surely go after the others, which are the fire crystal of Damsian, the wind crystal of Pabu, and the earth crystal of Taurolia. Now, there's another hint to that. Yeah, and here's a fun fact for you if you didn't already know this. If you have, completely forget I said this or skip it because this is for those who don't know. And for those who don't know, do not spoil it for them if they are actually watching this. Anyway, crystals, believe it or not, are not a complete staple of the entire Final Fantasy franchise. It kind of started out that way, but they didn't really make it a full successful thing. What made it a staple thing was the airship, the advent of the airship, up until they started taking that way. That was one of the main elements. That in an boat, which wasn't always possible, or some kind of transportation. Chocobles are kind of a thing throughout the Final Fantasy universe, but they weren't exactly a main staple or a staple of the for a main kind of source of transportation. Unlike your vehicles or to get you around and your your basic stuff. I mean, they kind of do come in handy for some games or for main point plots. Not all games have that. It just like that's how you route them. No big deal. Final Fantasy VI is one of the best examples that you didn't actually have to have a chocobo, but it made things a little bit more traverse. And then they started making it to where even if you had one, you had to battle. But either way, I mean, it is kind of a main staple, but not for a kind of transportation-like thing. One of the main staples of this thing, it did start out with the crystals. They did do that. It's kind of a sad thing. And the job system was not, it was kind of a sort of thing that was in different variety of ways. So, just so you know. The fire crystal has already fallen into his hands. Let me introduce you. Edward is the Prince of Damsian. Rubied is someone. Fart. You know what I forgot? Actually, it doesn't really matter. Just make sure But he is a summoner from Mist. I wouldn't have been able to get to San Ruby and cure your fever without their help. Hi, yeah. Hello, Lydia. Thank you both so much. Cecile, after Damsian, Babu must be their next target. We must. Cop. I don't know. I'm no expert at making good coughing sounds, so excuse me while I try to do my best. You have the rest now. Don't worry, we'll go to Fabu. But to reach Fabu, we must traverse Mount Hops, and the trail is blocked by thick ice. Rydia, can you cast fire? No. Fire is the most elementary of dark magic spells. As a summoner, you... Cop. God, I can't. I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm feeling terribly. I'm gonna stop. Rosa, stop. You are not coming with us in that condition. I'll be alright. As a white mage, I promise I won't be a burden. See, we can say white, but we can't say dark. Okay. I mean, there is no other saying for white, but whatever. And I'm not saying this to make fun of Edward, but he is like a sad dude in this game. He gets kind of happy at one point or another, but not ultimately until the end of the game. So I might as well tell you that. It's not going to spoil anything, but you might as well know that. Rosa only wishes to be with you, Cecile. All right, we'll go together. Make sure you get plenty of rest tonight, though. That's what they should have said in it. Anyway, I thank you. White Mage Rosa has joined the party. Only not really until tomorrow, I guess. So here's a very important part coming up. That night, if you're not prepared, this is going to trounce you. Believe me, I've had this happen. So if you've done that, then fear not. Don't worry. You just need to make sure you have had a save file so you can go back and not have to go through all the process of all you had to do, and just make sure you train up enough. All you can do is just try it out each time until you master the art of knowing when you're able to know. Because even in the advanced version, sometimes you have to be at a certain level. You don't have to be too high, but high enough to make a difference. Edward says nothing. And of course, there's music playing, which I can't let it go because this is, unfortunately, for YouTube purposes. And again, I'm not going to turn it off just because of the copyright issues, but anyway. Let me rechange that because that's too awkward because it has to do with somebody I know in my life. Nothing against them, but I mean, sometimes you kind of have to do that because it would be confusing. Beth, yeah. Bro, I miss you so much. Uh-oh. Oh. I remember it being like that. It came in like they thought it was Anna, but it's not her. I mean, Beth. So, yeah. If you're not fully prepared, you can tell because of that. Beth, you must fight Edward. Edward. I like how there's auto text. Believe in yourself. Beth. I mean, I know what it says. There's nothing to do with it, nothing against the name. It's just, Girl! See that right there? If I hadn't been as strong as I am, which I'm probably a little bit too strong, but okay. Beth, this can't be. Beth says, I must leave this world. I must go on to a better place. If you don't get why I'm doing that, it's because she's gone, man. She's like a ghost. I mean, come on, really? I'm not supposed to sound like that? Hello? How else we can explain it? No, don't go. Don't go. Anyway, I can't live without you. Mm-hmm. Beth says, you mustn't let go, Beth. Have the crystals. Fight for your people as I shot him in honor with an exclamation point. Care for them as you did for me. So, I mean, believe it or not, people have made fun of Edward, but what can you say? I mean, he's like kind of a useless one. I don't find him useless, but he is useless. I can see how he is. Yes, I'll do it. I'll fight. But how could I stop him? I don't know what I should do. Well, that'll come apparently a little bit later, Mr. Edward. As always, the plot line will definitely dictate that. All set. As we salute to everybody in the whole world, I'm going to salute you. My name is Cecile. I think I'm in the military of the real world, but, hey. Anyway, hey, move your behind. Thank you. Now, we're going to save again. Now, I'm going to do something that I don't normally, or the normal people don't actually do. So, see, there is a version you can do with this, but it kind of sucks because, we don't have that version. Where you can make them go forward and backward and not have to worry about them being, like, affected if you want them to be in the front row, no matter what row they're in. Like if I want them to be in the front row, no matter if they're ahead of me somewhere around there or whatever, or if I want them to be in the back row, no matter where they are, that's how it should be. But it matters not. They always say to put your mages in the back row. Well, that depends on how high they are and whatnot. Like right now, Rosa, I could put in the back row because she's kind of low, but she's not that low. See that with that amount of HP, which I'm gonna go ahead and save again because you don't have to do this, but I do it. So anyway, let's see what kind of magic she actually has. She has Cure, Hold, Scan, Slow, Sight. Not every game have the ability to let you have dark magic and all that. Some of the games that were made in this series, I don't know that many games actually had this kind of a deal. I mean, similar, but this is the only series I know of that actually has, magic where you can actually, revive people, which, like your party members and whatnot, especially summons. I'm talking about the whole franchise. I can't say that about 12 because I don't remember there being one, but, that's a bit of a different story because they had summons that would take the place of it to give them a better chance to kind of, while they were trying to make designs while people kept buying, which I think is pretty crazy that you had to keep buying until they finally decided to release it. I mean, as much money as they've made over the decades, and if they want to keep going, they should have kept going. And they shouldn't have left up the airship. I will always point that out. Simply because, and by the way, if you do that, that's fine. Now, not one, unlike most games. Now, we're going to go over there and we're going to stop because we're probably going to do some level grinding. Before we go into full film, which I have no doubt we are because we need to get her caught up. And that's another thing. It wasn't always a staple of the series to buy spells or to drop summons and whatnot. Unlike this game. This game actually has where you have to get them to drop. And it's not for all summons. None of the main ones you actually have to go through a series of trials. That includes most of them anyway. So this is it. And unfortunately, we couldn't save there anyway, as you have seen. So yeah, I recommend you save here. Because see, look, I can do this all day long, and it wouldn't mean anything. See, as long as that's grayed out, I can't save unless I land. And also, if I don't land, I can't go to our next destination, which we're not going to do in this episode. Anyway, I will see you all in the next episode. Speaking of the next episode, I know I keep saying that, but anyway, we'll continue on. We'll do a little bit of grinding. We won't do much. We'll let the rest of it kind of pander out because, or kind of do more with the newer enemies that we're going to have to fight. That'll be a thing. Yeah, I'm just going to give her a couple of levels to kind of give her a little bit of advantage. So she doesn't have to play too much of a up catch. She's going to have to catch up some, but it won't be too bad. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Until then, later.